Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Defiant FBI Director Kash Patel sits before the Senate Judiciary Committee to answer questions about everything from his agency's investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination to the inner workings of the Bureau.
And in closing, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee and Ranking Member Durbin, I'm honored to be the 9th Director of the FBI. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to criticize my 16 years of service, please bring it on. Over to you.
During his testimony, Patel promised that the Bureau will continue its quest for transparency. As for the investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder, Patel applauded the cooperative work happening between his agents and state and local law enforcement in Utah. Quote, Tyler Robinson is in custody today because of this partnership. Speaking of Tyler Robinson, he's expected to be officially charged with capital murder as soon as today. His initial court appearance is scheduled for later today by video from his cell. We're expecting a news conference and confirming the charges here this afternoon. On Monday, FBI Director Kash Patel confirming the 22-year-old suspect's DNA was found on a towel that was wrapped around the rifle believed to have been used to kill Charlie Kirk. Investigators also saying they have DNA evidence linking the alleged assassin to a screwdriver that was found in the rooftop where the deadly shot was fired. Plus, the FBI director says the suspect wrote a text message before the shooting saying that he had planned to kill Kirk. Investigators also believe the guy wrote a physical note saying that if he had the opportunity to take out Charlie, he would do so. That note was reportedly destroyed, but investigators were able to reconstruct it. Director Patel, as I said, was on Capitol Hill earlier today, facing lots of questions from the Senate Judiciary Committee. We, of course, will have continuing coverage of that hearing throughout the day here on Real America's Voice. That's going to do it for your headlines. I'm Terrence Bates.
Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. I'm Andrew Kolvet, the executive producer of this show, and once again, we're honored to be with our friends Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and we were talking in the break. Ben, you noticed something. You picked something up about that clip that we showed of Charlie, where he's asking, "What is a woman? What is a woman? What is a woman?" Pause. Why are you so hateful?
Right, and we all laugh because it's inherently ridiculous. Because Charlie obviously is not being hateful, but that, I think, when I think we're all feeling Matt's visceral rage, or at least if we're not, we should be. Yeah. And the question is where to direct it. And I think that visceral rage has to be directed at the ideological frameworks that create the impetus for violence. In that statement, when she says, "Why are you so hateful?" that's kind of the whole thing. The reason I say that is because there is a basic framework for there's been this flattening where we pretend that all ideologies are equally likely to create violence. There's a favor to the media, right? It's just or politicians. Political violence is bad, however it's formed. Political violence, both sides. Everyone's doing it. Okay, here's the thing. We all know which ideologies. Everyone knows which ideologies are most likely.
We are not burning down the country. We're not burning down businesses. We're not throwing rocks at police. We're praying.
Correct. And let's be real about this. Literally the minute I heard that Charlie was shot, I don't know about you guys, but I had some pretty good suspicions as to what ideology was behind the murder of our friend.
It's always the ones you most expect.
Well, and so the question is why, right? The question is why. And the answer is because there's a framework of mind that has been created in which people claim that there is the problems in their own life. And this is what Charlie stood against, right? Because Charlie was constantly talking about personal responsibility and making your life better and take your life in your own hands and you can be a success, right? That's that clip we played earlier for men. Like, be better, be better. If you are a person who takes the failures in your own life and you externalize those onto a shadowy group of people who are responsible for all of your failures, and then you say, those people are victimizing me to the point where they are genocide, erasing me, trans erasure, right? Trans genocide. And then you say, well, if those people are trying to kill me, it's self-defense, right? Speech is violence. It's self-defense for me to shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk for saying that. When she says, "Why are you so hateful?" the reason she is perceiving fact as hate is because it is a denial of her sense of identity and a sense of threat that is now justifying violence. That is the reality. There's an undergirding to some of these ideologies, particularly this ideology, that has violent extremism as an after effect. That's just a reality, and there are multiple ideologies that are like that. So I think that the BLM ideology had aspects of this for sure. I think radical Islam, as Charlie routinely talked about, particularly in the last couple of weeks before his murder, radical Islam obviously is deeply ensconced in the sort of conspiracy theory about our failure is the fault of all these other people. These people are trying to harm us, therefore we are justified in doing violence to them. And when I see the New York Times trotting out Hasan Piker repeatedly now, this is like the second time, repeatedly, to talk about Charlie's murder as though he is the representative of good faith debate, when he has backed every terror group I can imagine.
And has
legitimately
openly called for...
Said America deserved 9/11,
Yeah.
has openly talked about how his political opposition should be physically harmed.
You're a lawyer, right? I mean, when does it cross the line into incitement? Does it has to be when is a specific name has to be used? Because this is relevant to what happened with Pam Bondi and all the clip that's, I mean, you know, she was saying, she basically said hate speech is illegal. And Charlie, I mean, I think she ended up clarifying later, to her credit, that the clip is, I'm told, is incomplete. She ended up quoting incitement, right? Michael looks up.
It's an
There's no reason to say
unfortunate
hate
phrase
speech.
to use,
Yeah,
yes.
but if you're just saying that threats and incitement are illegal, of course they are. You don't need to say hate speech.
No, exactly.
So that's
They
the
left this
problem.
euphemism for things I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, but it ties into what happens next here, and that's why I'm asking, because a lot of people, you know, there was a push to sort of smoke out all these people that were criticizing or that were dancing on the grave, rather, and that's perfectly fair. It
And that's
comes
social
with a
consequences.
social
Yeah.
consequence, but not a legal one. When does it become a legal consequence?
So I think that what they've been attempting to do, and Kash Patel is apparently talking about this, is labeling Antifa a terrorist group, which absolutely they should be. I mean, clearly they should be at this point. And that if there are people who are funding groups that are violent, then we should obviously be looking into them, probably under racketeering laws and conspiracy laws. If you are donating money to a ex-Mormon trans furry group that is openly planning violence, then you should be held legally accountable for that in the way that you would be, as we all know, if it were a white supremacist group and you were funding a white supremacist group. We all know that that would be investigated by the FBI.
And I don't mean to step on your point here, but I just want to underscore why what you're saying is so critical, and I want the audience to understand that, is because one of Charlie's best friends in the administration was Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller came on our show yesterday. I think he said the same thing on Hannity. The last text message, and there's so many prophetic little nuggets, guys. I wish I could share them all. The last text message he shared with Stephen Miller was, we have to root out the people that are funding the violence.
Yes. What we're talking about here is organized crime.
Yeah, we're going to break, but this will not go away because Stephen's a dog with a bone. Right back.